Hello, I'm David Matos, and this is The Joy of Why, a podcast from Quantum Magazine that takes you into some of the biggest answering questions in math or science today. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what are dreams exactly, what purpose do they serve, and why are they often so bizarre. We all that had this experience. You are dreaming about something fantastical, some kind of crazy history with a narrative arc that didn't actually happen, with people we don't necessarily know, in places we may have never even been. Is this just the brain trying to make sense of random neural firing? Or is there some evolutionary reason for dreaming? Dreams are inherently hard to study, even with all the advances in science and technology, we still haven't really found a way to record what someone else is dreaming about. Plus, as we all know, it's easy to forget our dreams as soon as we wake up unless we are really careful to write them down. But even with all these difficulties, little by little, dream researchers are making progress in figuring out how we dream and why we dream. Joining me now to discuss all this is Dr. Antonio Sadra, a, a professor at the University of Montreal and a researcher at the Center for Advanced Research in Sleep Medicine. His specialties include the study of nightmares, recurrent dreams, and lucid dreaming. He also the co-author of the recent book When Brains Dream, exploring the science of mystery of sleep. Tony, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you about this. So let's start with thinking about the science of dreams as you and your college see it today. Why are dreams so hard to study? The biggest difficulties in studying dreams is that we don't study dreams directly. What we study are dream reports, either what people tell us they dreamed about or what they write down. So much of the work is done, if you want, after the fact. Even when dreams are studied in the laboratory, you can look at what's going on in the brain or body while the person is dreaming. For instance, in REM sleep, but what they are dreaming about at the moment, we usually can only know once we wake up the individual, or he or she tell us about the dream they were experiencing. So dreams are private, subjective experience. But but these challenges is studying dreams aren't unique to dreams. You find them in many other areas. For instance, in the study of the pain, we when we study pain, you can have a machinery that allows you to see the pain. We infer it from, for instance, the adjectives people use to describe the pain, is that burning pain, a throwing pain, a piercing pain. And then we are they. It is localized. People say, it's in my lower back, it's in my leg. But again, these are private, subjective experience, and these challenges are true of many subjective states that human beings have. Such an interesting analogy. It never occurred to me to think of it like that. Let me try asking you to define dreams. I know this is going to be tough one because in any scientific field, giving a definition is often. Say, what is life? You know, but let's try. What is dream? What are the characteristics of dream? Unfortunate, Unfortunately, there is no universally agreed upon definition of dream. So, for some researchers, dreams are elaborative, narratively driven creation of the brains that are located somewhere that have a temporal dimension. They involve emotion, often some form of social interaction. And so these are closer to the kinds of dreams people often will recall when they awaken in the morning, typical of the REM sleep. But for other researchers, dreaming refers to any form of thinking or perceptual elements that are experienced during sleep. And so, this is often referred to as sleep mentation. And so, depending on how you can define them, dreams can be this relatively isolated image or thoughts pattern. They can be geometry image that dance before your eyes as you're falling asleep, or they can be this rich, narratively driven, immersive experience, and depending on how you define them, you probably study various elements or various forms of the expression of dreams. But then again, the same question can be arise if we ask, how do you define conscience? What constitutes conscience? And so there are minimal forms of conscience, like when you are sort of the groggy, or just wake up in the morning, or when you're transported by beautiful music, or fall immersed in a film, in the midst of horrible fight when you spouse, or you boss at work, or madly in love. I mean, these are all different forms of conscience. And again, people who are blind or deaf or have restricted sensory modalities paralyzed, they also have consciences. But again, the range of their subjective experience vary tremendously. I think the same holds true for dreams. Oh, do we know how our brains created the image associated with dreams? The, the short answer is no. And the more nuanced answer will be we are slowly getting there, because dreams can occur across different stages of sleep, and the and that what brain areas are activated across these different sleep stages vary greatly, and as does the general neurochemistry of the brain. It leads to sort at conflicting views. And as does the general neurochemistry of the brain. It leads to sort of conflicting views. But we know, for instance, if we take the most vivid dreams, those that tend to occur in REM sleep, well, we know that the secondary visual areas are activated, and that makes sense because dreams are highly visual experience. So the primary visual areas aren't activated for the simple reason that your eyes are closed. There, there's no visual input entering through your retina. Just, so your brain is creating this. We also know that your motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls motor movement, is activated, and that's probably is one of the things that helps give us the impression that we are moving through a real three-dimensional physical world in our dreams. We know that the limbic system is also activated, and the amygdala, which probably helps explain why many dreams contain various degrees of emotion. So we are emotionally engaged into them, and we know the parts of the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that sits about inch or so above your eyes, is the deactivated, and so this also explains why these areas of the brain are important for what we call executive function, judgment, critical thinking, planning, things that are usually absent in our dreams. So we're starting to have a better idea of how different brain areas work together to create these just general features of our dreams. What is more of a mystery is how the brain goes about selecting a specific image and how it whips them together and why.